that was not a very interesting job, but people there were very supportive with me, you know. And when I left, my boss at the McDonald's I worked in was a former bouncer in a club, so it was kind of the night business before. So when I was saying I was DJ and stuff, you know, he kind of liked it, you know. So it was cool. It was cool.
Hey, what's up, Joris? How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm doing awesome. I appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Of course. My name's Adam, and this is about you and your journey in music, and we'll talk about the new song.
Okay, cool. Hi, Adam.
Awesome. Where were you? First off, where were you born and raised? Did I see France area?
Yeah, I'm from France, from south of France, actually. I was born in south of France, and now I live in Paris and Montpellier in south of France. You know, I travel a lot.
Oh, wow. Cool. Well, how far away from Paris were you in the south of France? Is that fairly far?
Like maybe 700 kilometers, something like this, or like 3 hours with the train. That's all I
Okay. Right on. What was it like down there in South France, like growing up?
Yeah, it's cool. You know, it's not, the weather is not very beautiful actually, so that's a bit disappointing because that's a reason I keep the south of France because of the weather. So I hope it's getting better in the next days. But
Oh,
yeah,
really?
it's
The weather down there is not as good as in Paris?
yeah. But you know, it's all about. I love living in Paris because Paris is like a crazy city. All the crazy things happen all the time, and that's nice. But sometimes I need to rest from that. So that's why I
Sure.
keep part of me in south of France to be like in a quiet area, you know.
Yeah, no, definitely. Was it a pretty small town that you grew up in?
Yeah, I don't live. I don't still live in the town I was born or I was raised,
Uh-huh.
because it's a very small town, like maybe 1,000 inhabitants, something like this. So
Wow,
now
that is small.
now I live in Montpellier, which is like a quite small city. It's like 400,000 inhabitants. No, that's not very big city, but that's okay.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Very cool. Do you come from a musical household or like an artistic household at all?
Yeah, I started with the piano when I was young. I started at 4 years old, pretty
Oh my
soon.
gosh. Wow, that's really
Yeah,
young.
yeah.
Was
And
this something your
so
parents were they pianists or did they play piano or like
no,
what how did you get into
no,
piano then?
no. Honestly, I'm the only musician. I'm not the only musician in my family, but I'm the only professional musician in my family.
Okay.
My parents, my father is like a winemaker, you know,
Oh
so
wow. Okay.
pretty far from music. And my mother is now a yoga teacher, so but she has like sensitivity with music, and she bring me to the music when I was young, so I'm very thankful for that.
No, definitely. Did you continue with piano like for pretty much your whole adolescent life or did you stop at an
Yeah,
early age?
yeah, I still play piano. I was taking back lessons like 2 years ago. Then I stopped because I don't have time anymore to take lessons. So, but I use the piano more like the keyboard in my production, in my live set, and all the thing.
Sure.
And like the real piano, the classical piano, which I used to play when I was young, I still do it, but it's more like a hobby for now. You know, it's
Okay.
just
That makes sense.
to do music in a different way, I guess.
Yeah. Did you do like recitals and stuff growing up as a kid? Like were you through
Yeah,
lessons, did
yeah,
you have
yeah.
to go up and do like play your piece in front of maybe your family and a bunch of other people that were also in the same
Yeah.
lessons and all that stuff?
I did that like every year because at the end of the year, the music school I was in, there was like I don't know the English term, but yeah, let's call it a recital. So you're
Yeah, like
supposed to
recital. Yeah.
yeah, travel, and so you're supposed to learn a piece of music and play it in front of all the parents. You know, so that the first concert I made was this one actually. You know, technically.
Yeah. Do you remember being a kid nervous or anything like that? Or were you fairly confident going up there?
Um, I think I was pretty confident because what I remember, the first time I did a recital, I was 6 years old, and I
Wow.
played a track of mine actually.
No
Like,
way. You wrote
yeah,
your own
yeah,
song at 6?
Yeah, it was like a silly track I composed with when I was 6 years old. But I think that was like a proof I was made to create music, not just to play music from other people. Because uh, after that, I wanted to go to the conservatory, like big serious
Yeah.
music school, and I was playing pretty well actually. I was good with the piano, but they refused me because I explained them, okay, but I'm not really interested at playing music from other people. I want to play mine. I say, yeah, but that's not what we are doing here. So maybe it's not the good picture for you. So okay, so that's how. So that was like the end of my piano lessons period,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah. So after that, I started to learn how to play the guitar, electric guitar, because I wanted to be a rock star this time.
Oh,
And
sure. How old at that point?
I was like 15 years old, so it was
Okay.
during my teenage years, when you were supposed to be a rebel and things.
Of course.
Yeah, and like and 3 years after that, I got into electronic music, and I never left because this is definitely my thing now.
Yes. Wow. So when you were 15 and started learning guitar, did you start a band or anything, or were you writing like
Yeah,
rock songs?
I tried, but I was living in a very, very small town with
Uh-huh.
not a lot of people, so it was quite difficult to find people to play with. And that's one of the reason. And the other reason is, to be honest, I was not very, very good at the guitar. So,
Okay. Did you write your own
so
songs on guitar? I mean, it sounds like you're
yeah,
writing your own songs on piano at a very
I
early age.
I tried, but the way I started to play guitar was not. I like the guitar. I really like this instrument, and I learned a lot of things playing this one because it was different from playing the piano. But I didn't add the same, I'd say, the same gift to create music with the guitar than I have with a keyboard. So I tried, but it was like very less elaborated, I guess, from what
Right.
I was able to play with the piano. Yeah.
And when did you said about 3 years later, so you're around 18 years old is when you discovered electronic music and kind of fell in love with it?
Yeah, it's 18 years old. I think it's because this is the day I got I was the right age to go into the club, so I started to go
Oh,
into the club, and I liked electronic music before, but this was something I was just listening, and I remember the first time I went to a club. So I saw the DJ playing and was vinyl fan. So I was listening to a DJ playing vinyls, and I said,
mhm.
"Man, this is so cool! I want to do that." And I remembered, so I started learning this, and 18 years old was also the time I really got the internet at home, because I
Oh,
was staying very small town, so internet got a lot of of time to come to our house, and so I could learn. Like the internet made like a big difference because I was able to learn everything just on the programs, talking with people on website and things. So and download music, of course. So that's made the difference. So I was also able to download the software to do music, and because I remember when I was younger, like when I was like 14, something like this, maybe 13, 14, I had like a PlayStation,
yeah,
for
yeah.
video game. And on the PlayStation, there was a game called Music 2000, and it was basically a sequencer, And I
Oh,
remember,
really? I don't.
yeah,
I
yeah,
had. I mean, I'm a little bit older than you as well, but I had PlayStation. I don't remember having any cool games like that.
yeah, I remember this one, and it was like a silly sequencer, but it gives me like an idea to how you can do electronic music. And
Hmm.
I remember I had a lot of fun doing that. So maybe I can do that on my parents' computer, So that's how I download like Fruity Loops at this time,
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
FL Studio, and I started creating tracks, and I was on forums, and the whole game was like creating a track, making people of the forum listen to it. Hey, how can I improve that? Can you give me some advice? And that's how I learned, basically.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
from just to rewind here a second, from going into that club around 18 and seeing this DJ play, and then being using vinyl and kind of mixing with vinyl. Did you ever go in that direction at all, or did it kind of stay on the computer? Like after seeing him, were you like, oh, I need to collect records, I want to DJ parties
Yeah,
like this?
yeah, that was my goal. I had to start with the computer because I was 18, so I didn't have a lot of money to spend.
Oh, sure.
So yeah,
Vinyl ain't
so
cheap.
yeah, so all I had was my computer, my parents' computer.
Uh-huh.
So I remember I downloaded a software called Virtual DJ. So
Oh yeah,
this,
yeah.
yeah, so I started like creating mixes on Virtual DJ just to get like the principes of mixing, and I started having a small job, so I could buy some turntables and some
Mhm.
vinyls. So that's how I really learned how to play how to play as a DJ. So I started with vinyls with maybe 5 vinyls. So that was all I had, but it was enough to learn how to synchronize the track and how to mix it. And after after the big CDJ period arrived, so I just kind of forgot the vinyl and go on the CDJ stuff. But that was important for me to learn it on the vinyl, because for me, if you can play a DJ set on vinyl, you can play it on anything, because it is the hardest thing to do. So I'm pretty proud of doing that.
Yeah, no, I always think that, I mean, it's awesome to watch electronic music in any form, but when the DJ's pulling from crates and and throwing records on and then having to find the spot on the vinyl and mix it in, like I always find that so it's so mesmerizing to me to watch that process happen kind of like in a live setting.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, that's something like I'd say like physical, because you can like hold the music. That's the cool thing about vinyl.
Right, right. Wow. So you get Fruity Loops and you start making your own songs or beats and stuff, and you were showing them to people on different forums and kind of getting feedback. At what point do you then go, okay, I'm going to start I feel like these are good enough to maybe start kind of like an artist project of sorts. Like, were you still living in the same town when you started to really release music
Yeah.
on your own and kind of pursue this as a career?
Honestly, from the day one, I started producing music. In my mind, the goal was to become an artist and make my life out of it. So,
Oh, okay.
but I needed to practice, of course. I needed to get some skills, so it took like several years. Um, at some point, I was able to propose, I think, more serious music, which can be played, which can be listened. So I started to send it to labels I liked, and I got my first deal. Let's call it a deal, but with a small label from west of France, and I made my first releases. Sorry, it was when I was like maybe 20, something like this. So like 2 years later,
Mhm.
and at some point, I started to get like a bit famous on MySpace at this time.
Oh,
And
okay.
after, yeah, so that was a long time ago. And
No, but that
after,
was a big thing. I mean, even to this day, I feel like MySpace. Well, I guess TikTok is a competitor, but like, and back then, I mean, MySpace. If you were doing really well in MySpace, people knew who you were, and I mean, it was a worldwide thing. And it was like at that time it was like MySpace, and if you had a song on Hype Machine, like that was where
mm,
people were like, oh, like who's this person, or who's
mm,
this DJ or whatever.
yeah. So that was the start. But I think the big step for me was SoundCloud, because this is where I got like famous. It was on SoundCloud. And so like being making good let's say good scores on SoundCloud helped me to get interest from labels. And
Hmm.
and one day I made like an encounter very significant for me. A friend of mine called Greg Delon, who's a French guy from south of France. He's not very famous as well, but in south of France he's pretty famous.
Yeah.
And he's a DJ and was playing all the big clubs where I live now in Montpellier. And I just sent me like my next release, and he answered me back, said, "Oh, this is called music. You know, I'm launching a label right now, so maybe you can like send me some stuff." So yeah, okay. So and I already knew him. I really liked what he was doing, and I knew he was very influenced where I live. So I said maybe that can be a good idea to work with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I started sending in my tracks and released it on his label, which is Way of House, is the name of the label. And he pushed me to do an album. So I did my first album with him, and he kind of managed me at first. He was like my first manager, and he helped me, and he was finding me gigs and helped me to improve my production and stuff. So, and this is where with the first album where things got very serious, when I could like stop working and do only music. It was in 2011, and I never had
Go back.
to go back in a normal job again. So I'm very thankful for that. You know.
Was that the album Going Back?
Yeah. So the going back is a bit special because this is all my first tracks. And I had some issues with the first label I released the track on. So I just took back those tracks, and it was not available anywhere. So I say maybe it's a bit pity because some people like it. So we made like how to say a flashback release. You know?
Oh, okay, yeah.
It
Just
was
like all the old stuff that you
yeah,
weren't really able to release at that point because
yeah,
of the
that's it.
label situation. Got it. And
Yes,
then you put that out as like an
but
album.
yeah, that's it. So if you will check it on Spotify, it appears like an album, but it's not an album. It was a lot of singles or EPs, you know. And
Understood. Okay.
the first album was it was Room with You,
Room with a
released in,
View. Yeah,
yeah. So
EP.
this is
Yeah,
the
okay.
first, yeah,
And that was the one that you worked on with this producer that you kind of looked up to, right?
yeah, yeah. So and after, so I did like another album on Universal like later in 2018.
Yeah.
And now I'm working on the third one actually. So yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So you on that Room with a View EP, was the song Air France the one that kind of changed everything for you?
Yeah. I
And
think that's
how did that
the
all
song.
happen? Like, was that done through SoundCloud? Like, kind of tell me the story behind that song.
Honestly, it's a bit strange to me because this is a track I made like in 4 hours, you know, very quick. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, when I released it, for me it was not finished, you know, but it was like the track. I cannot find another idea, you know. And Greg told me at this time, yeah, it's maybe because the track is finished. It's cool that way, so you have to release it. So, okay, maybe. So let's do it, you know. And so I started playing this in my DJ sets and in my podcast at this time. And I quickly saw like something was happening, you know, like people recognize the vibe at first, very quick, and I said, okay, maybe something is coming with that. So, and when I released it, was like a big hit. You know, everybody was playing this in France, and I got some. I was contacted by Roger Sanchez, you know, Roger Sanchez, sorry,
Yeah, yeah,
who's
yeah.
yeah, who was like very very big DJ at this time, and he
Uh-huh.
contacted to put it on his yearly compilation, you know. And for me, it was like unbelievable, you know. It's what the fuck is happening, you know?
Yeah, no,
And
for sure. Whoa.
yeah. So I think this is the track. I think it's still my main track today because even now it's getting older, you know, because it's from 2000. I made it in 2009, so that's a while ago.
Mhm.
But people are still asking for this when I'm playing, and I see something happens every time I play it. So yeah, I think this is the track which changed everything for me. You know?
Oh my gosh. What was it like going in and like you said you had a chance to quit your job at that point and really do music full time? That must have been a pretty cool moment to go in. I don't know what you were doing, like maybe just going into the job and be like, you know what? The
Yeah.
music thing is working out. I'm gonna do that full time. Like it's been fun, but see you
Yeah.
guys later.
Yeah. So especially like the last job I was doing for 2 years before I quit was making burgers in a McDonald's. So
Oh my
I was,
gosh.
yeah. So I was pretty happy to leave, I guess. But
Yeah,
at
that's a
the
special story.
yeah, that's a special. But in the other hand, that was not a very interesting job, but people there were very supportive with me, you know. And when I left, my boss at the McDonald's I worked in was a former bouncer in a club, so it was kind of the night business before. So when I was saying I was DJ and stuff, you know, he kind of liked it, you know. So it was cool. It was cool. And when I left because I saw it was like more because of the financial aspect, financial aspect. And I saw like, okay, for this summer, I just checked my gigs and I have like 3 months and I can live only with my music for 3 months, you know. And I told myself, maybe this is the only time in my life I will be able to do that. So I have to take this opportunity. So I went to my boss and say, okay, maybe I want to quit my job at McDonald's because maybe I have a chance to do music. And the guy told me, yeah, okay, you know what? Just do the thing. And worst case scenario, if in 3 months you don't have gigs anymore, you can come back, I take you back, no problem, you know. So it was kind of, you know, I said, okay, I can go. Yes, there is no risk, you know. So
yeah,
kind
that's
of cool.
nice. You had like that safety net of sorts that your boss liked you enough to be like, all right, so you'll 3 months, see what happens. If it doesn't work, you know, you're always welcome back here.
Come back. Yeah. So that was cool. That's why even if the experience at McDonald's was not very good because the job was not very interesting, but I worked with a lot of very nice people and very supportive people. So I don't want to say bad thing about this time because and it was kind
there's
of
no
funny.
reason to, right? I mean, they were not only supportive, but they were willing to take you back if it didn't work out.
Yeah. And it was kind of funny because I was already making some gigs at this time. So on the weekend I was doing gigs and on the Monday I was back doing burgers, and it happened like 3 times. People recognize me in the McDonald's, you know. So,
oh, no way.
Yeah.
Do you go, yeah, that's me? You're like, yeah.
Yeah.
You're like,
this is
yeah, you're like, it's a struggle, guys. You know, it's not all glitz and glam right away. You said you put out an album. You signed with Universal and put out what, Night Visions in 2018? Was that must have been a pretty, I mean, to get signed to a major label, was that a lot different than kind of what you were doing prior? Like what did they bring to the table that changed?
Well, that was very different because Universal is a big business. And I quickly knew that I have to do like business music, you know, and this is kind of the kind of thing I didn't really like in my Universal experience because I had to be on the radio, so I had to change the time of my music, the type of music, doing like vocal music all the time and stuff. And I'm not against vocal music, I love it, but I don't like when I have to do something, when people say you have to do that, you know. I want to be free with my music. So
yeah, they changed it up. They're now telling you how to make your own art, right?
Yeah. So they tried and at first I tried to follow what I was told to do. Not because I wanted to, but because it was challenging, you know, to do. It was an opportunity to do different music. So I tried doing that. And it still was a good experience because once again I learned a lot of things of how can I adapt my music to vocals, how can I adapt my music to the radio, how can I go to different audiences. So this is notion I didn't add before and I add after, so that was still a good experience. But at some point I needed to do my own thing, so I went to them and say, okay, I hear what you're saying, but no, I just want to do the music I want. And from now there will be no more concession, you know. And that's how the Night Vision came out, you know. This album, it's the Universal album. This is really the music I wanted to do at this time. So artistically, it was really cool, you know. I could do what I want, and so I guess I didn't have like the biggest support from the Universal team because I was not playing like the game. But at the end, I did a good album and it went really well. And
I mean, it still has a ton of, I mean, Start the Engine has like almost 12 million streams.
Yeah. And this is actually, I think, my favorite track I ever made. So, and it was
really?
Yeah. So at the end, that's cool, you know. I had to leave after the album because I wanted to go back into something more more into the independent label business, because it fits more to my spirit and the music I do.
Mhm.
And now I go with Armada, which is honestly the best label experience I ever had. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, is that a recent endeavor, Armada?
Yeah, it's pretty recent. I signed in last October during the
Wow, okay.
ADB. Yeah, so that's pretty recent.
Yeah.
And I knew Armada from before, of course, and I had some kind of connection with them because I play a lot in Netherlands, and as I produce melodic house and techno, this is the music they are into, so they already knew me, so the connection was really easy with them, you know. So
That's awesome.
so even if it's pretty recent, I kind of feel like I've been there all the time, you know. It's
yeah, you have
that,
like you've got exactly like kind of roots in that world. With the I'm curious because the pandemic happens, you know, a couple of years after you had released Night Vision, but that happens, and I would imagine that a big part of your artist, you know, career is done DJing parties and doing shows, and that all got stripped away. So how that obviously it affected everybody in the world, which is bizarre, right, in itself. Like you were affected in France, and I was affected in the United States. But
yeah.
that being said, like once that all shut down, were you able to like write? Were you inspired? Were you like, is this ever going to come back? Like, what am I going to do now? Am I going to have to hit up my manager at McDonald's and be like, yo, I know it's been about 10 years, but can I still come
Yeah.
back?
That was very difficult at first because we didn't knew what is going to happen, and
Mhm.
like everybody, I was afraid that maybe we will be like we our job is now something from the past. You know, it won't happen
Right.
again. So I know a lot of artists take advantage of this period to create new thing and just produce music, like you're not playing anymore, so you have more time, you have more rest. So but it was not the case for me. I was feeling very, very bad because of that, and because maybe some problem I had like for several years, and now I just had time to think, and I took like all this thing in my head, you know, so that was pretty difficult. And
Yeah.
but the cool thing was that in France, you know, for my financial activities, I run a company, and we got a lot of to say of uh, help from the government and stuff.
Oh
You know?
yeah.
Yeah,
Like grant, not grant. And I know what you're saying, where they'd give,
yeah,
yeah,
you know,
they'd give you guys they'd give small businesses money to continue
yeah.
to operate.
Yeah, yeah. So of course, I was not doing the same money I was doing by touring, but it was okay, you know. So the financial aspect was okay. So that was the first thing. So meaning I don't have to take a shitty job or something. I can still do music and wait for
Mhm.
this to finish. So the first part was quite difficult, and the second part was okay. So there is still nothing to do. There is no gig, etc. So just enjoy the time to. So I started doing sport. I started doing a thing like this, no, and I started like not to care so much about the music anymore. And actually, this was a good thing because it allowed me to get some rest from the music. And at some point, like maybe 6 months before the end of COVID, um, like the inspiration went back, and I started doing new tracks again. And so that was the first cool thing. And the second very cool thing, it's the day we were able to do concert again. I got like a full of gigs, so I was like, okay, so people haven't forgot me, so that's okay. I can continue doing that. So maybe it was difficult at first, and it was difficult for everyone. Of course, for the people who got sick, and for the people who lost someone from the sickness and things. So, but at the end, I say, okay, so it gave me the ability to focus on myself, and now I want to do new thing. And he kind of developed that feeling that, okay, it can stop anytime, so I have to enjoy every second of it, you know. And now this is the way I live the thing, you know. And I've never been more motivated than now. Even at the beginning of my career, I didn't have this level of motivation. So because when you lose something, you can know the true how to say the true sorry, I don't have the English word for that.
Yeah, like I mean, yeah, because when it was all stripped away from you, then now you have way more appreciation for it, right?
Yeah. So
Because it's like,
you
oh
know,
wow, this can go away at any time, and we've seen
yeah.
that happen.
So you realize how much this is precious, and how much you have to enjoy it. You know, that's the feeling I have now from the COVID experience. So at the end, I can say it's almost something positive for me, I guess. But I don't want to put like the COVID and positive in the same sentence,
Right,
because
and I understand what you're saying
uh,
though.
but
Um,
the feeling is this one. You know?
yes. What was the first, like when you finally got inspiration back? Do you remember like getting the first song and being like, oh, okay, yeah, like knowing like, okay, the faucet's back on. Like I'm
Yeah,
back in this.
yeah. This is actually a track I released in 2020, I think.
Mhm.
This is a track called Early Hours. I made it with a British singer, and the lyrics are about, okay, now we are seeing the sun again. Maybe we can go out again. So it was really like the end of COVID song, you know. And this is the
Yeah.
first one I made, because that was the feeling at this time. So yeah, and this is when I started releasing my own music. So on my own label, I guess, which is not
Yeah,
a
yeah.
true label, because it's just
Independently, yeah,
one.
sure.
Yeah. And that's also was a good experience, because I learned all to do all the thing by myself. And so I learned, once again, I learned a lot of things. And when I started to say, okay, now I want to work with a label again, I was more able to say, I want this, we can work like this. So at the end, that was a very, very constructive experience. So I'm very happy I did that. You know,
Mhm.
I was very teaching, you know.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you
Yeah.
recently released what, like last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, Stuck in Melodies. And you
Yeah.
said earlier that you have a new album coming out. So tell me about that song, and then is this going to be part of the next project?
Yeah, so I think everything I release now is part of the future album, because what I want to do, I have a lot of demos, I have a lot of things already done, but I want to keep the thing like release one track and play it directly, and not stop playing gigs from 1 year time I do a new album, you know, because I want to keep the spontaneous thing.
Yeah.
So what I do now is okay, here is the track, because there is one mood, so one mood, one track. This is how it works for me, and and let's release it. And at some point, if I feel like, okay, now I'm ready to launch the full album, you know, that will be the moment. But this is when I feel it, you know, and I think it will be for the next year or something like this. I don't know. I just want to release tracks regularly, and like every 2 or 3 months maximum. So that's the process now. And the Stuck In Melodies track is so the name is, this is an instrumental track,
Yeah.
and the concept of this track is, I found the first melody very quick, and after there is like another melody coming, and this one, I had so much difficulties to find it. I don't know why. You know, sometimes you're just stuck on a project, and at the point it was like, because I like this track, you know, and I really wanted to finish it. I was like, why cannot finish it, you know? And so, and every time I have this kind of feeling, I say, this is because you're not telling a story in your track. So, what are you telling? What story are you telling in this track? And what are you feeling right now? It's now I feel stuck, you know, with my fucking melodies, you know. And
Yeah.
when I started, this is the feeling I had. So, and when I started feeling like this, I said, okay, so this is the story I want to tell. So, and when and like this, the melody, the second melody just came out, you know, from nowhere. So, because I think this is about that. When you are really telling something with your music, that's where when the idea are coming, you know. So that's the story of this track, actually.
Oh wow, yeah. So it sounds like because you were stuck trying to figure out where that next melody came from, that then gave the story to the song, and then it basically unstuck that that melody to. That's interesting. That's really cool, man. Well, I love what you're doing. I think that's a great idea to release songs as they come, and then at the end maybe, you know, compile them into an album. But it's kind of the way of the world right now, is just release as much as you can. People's attention spans are like, you know, you release a full album and maybe 3 or 4 of the songs, 5 of the songs will get the attention that are deserved. And then, you know, some other sparkly object comes up over there, and then, you know, everyone's head turns. So
and this is also a way for me to communicate with the audience, to say, okay, this is one track, how do you like it? And just saying, okay, I'm making an album, but what do you think about this track? This is the kind of track you like, or maybe something, what would you like? So this is kind of interaction for me of doing track by track before doing the whole thing. And
that's a great idea.
Yeah. So I think, at the point I say, okay, now I know what the vibe is, I know what I want to do, and I know how I can make people happy with that. So now let's do a fucking album, you know. That's the that's the spirit.
I love it, dude. Well, thank you again so much for doing this, Joris. I have one more question. I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Sorry, can you ask it again? Sorry.
Oh, do you have any advice for new artists, up and coming musicians? Like, do you have anything you would let them know about the business or music in general?
I think the main advice I would like to give is just being true with the music, you know. No, because we are all doing that for a reason, because I think we have something to share, something to communicate, and it can be like a very large panel of different things, but the only things you have to do is to find your own, and being like sincere to it, and put a lot of work and passion into this, and do it because you need to share this, and because you want to make people feeling things with what you're doing. And I think when you're doing that, no matter the style or the vibe you want to communicate, when you do it sincerely, it always works. So like, just it sounds like a very general thing, but stay true, you know. That's why I try to do every day, you know?